guys? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. The three of us are in the studio today. We got Derek in the chat. Steven will be in the chat as well. We got some college baseball to get through with Mr. Jake today. We got some MLB to get through as well. Any NBA questions you have or NHL as well, we could talk about those. I guess we should quickly run through the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs for our Fort Lauderdale, Florida Panthers, boys. Can we get a round of applause for them?
Yeah.
Big day.
Our Sunrise Panthers.
Our Sunrise. They have now, since they're trying so hard to claim the Miami area, they're calling it a suburb in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, which is not true.
I live in the suburbs. I have a very suburban life, and I drive by that arena quite a bit. So it's the suburbs. It ain't Miami. Trust me.
Yeah. Well,
It's not even close to Miami.
It's not the fact that they're calling it in
over
between.
an hour away.
Yeah.
A lot of us, and a lot of the Panthers who are married live not in my specific neighborhood, but in my town. So
I'm trying to find the single Panthers.
I'm not trying to set my neighborhood.
I actually do think that they live near me. I think they live on Las Olas. So
yeah,
that'll be my summer activity. All right, moving on. Let's get to the numbers.
And then I think the crowd has just heard our complete expertise on the Florida Panthers.
Yes, that is.
Not a hockey
Single
podcast.
ones live in Las Olas. The married ones live in Parkland. That's
but as someone who was part of a broad search for the general manager position 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's a whole story for you.
I can at least explain the numbers of why we like Edmonton. It was very similar to why we liked them against Dallas. We had Edmonton as a live dog, 55% of that against them, and now we have Edmonton at 52%. As someone who's not well versed in hockey, I like to look at the odds makers data to evaluate how good these teams are, and then break down why the model has a certain way. If it seems like I'm filibustering, I'm trying to buy Jake some time.
I'm good.
We're still working on baseball stuff. Anyway, odds makers basically have both these teams as very similar rated. They're both second best in their conferences at plus 350 to win their conference. This was DraftKings. So they're essentially the same kind of team. In both cases, there were teams that were considerably better than in terms of odds to make it, over 20% implied percentages. And then the one seeds weren't those teams, and both those one seeds were the ones that these teams have beaten to get here. So they have very similar paths. So Florida has home ice, which is why they have a hot goalie, which is why they would be minus 130 favorites. Makes total sense. But our model does look at home and away. Home ice is not nearly as big a deal as it is in, say, NBA or NFL. And by that, you can just look at, it is in case of Edmonton, but in Florida's case, they have a better numbers on the road. They have a +1 goal differential on the road versus just plus 0.6 at home. And probably because of the lack of passion in the Florida fan base. No offense. And then also, while last year's data at this point is not factored in significantly, it is still part of the model. And last season, Florida's goals allowed was very high, especially on the road. So the home ice advantage that Florida has in the series is not actually helping Florida because in our model, they're better on the road. And then Edmonton, who is not a great road team, they're 0 goal differential. They've been good in the playoffs. They're 6-3 on the road in the playoffs. And the model heavily weights playoff games and recent games more. So their weakness on the road is not as in play right now in the model, and their dominance at home for the season with a plus 1.4 goal differential and over 4 goals per game is playing a major role. So that's why in our sims, we have no value in game one. We have 55% Florida. It's basically 55% based on consensus line. We have Florida at 55% on their home ice, but Edmonton at 63% nearly. So that's why overall, that when you run those simulations on those two numbers, because those numbers are the same at this point for the 7 games, we give the slight edge at 51.8% to Edmonton.
All right. Let's talk about the hockey, guys. That was really good for us. I have been self-proclaimed hockey girl now.
Yes.
The model went 2 for 2, I'd say, last round with
Yes.
Panthers to win in 5 or 6 and Edmonton to win in 6 as well. Now I'm sour going against our Panthers, but after all the nonsense hate I got in the social comments for picking Edmonton over Dallas, I feel like I'm an Oilers girl now. Like they got a soft spot for me because they came through after all the criticism I was getting, which is just another day in the life. So let's move on. All right. Let's talk a little baseball here. We got Dinger Tuesday. Steven, I'll send you to the chat to answer some questions. Jake, this is a big day for you. Sorry, we really have been working you here, but let's talk about some Dinger Tuesday plays. Then we got a fun little new tool we got as well. I guess we don't really need the model here right now, but let's talk Dinger Tuesday, starting off strong. Our boy Gunnar Henderson, as much as I love him, has he performed for us yet this season?
I think we've hit a couple Gunnar Hendersons to score a run at like minus 140 or something like that. So I think we're probably like 50% on Gunnar.
I feel like we're unbelievably due for a home run.
We're due for a Gunnar home run. We have value because I don't think Toronto announced their pitcher, but the model is assuming it's Bowden Francis. They're dealing with some injuries. Alek Manoah was placed on the IL, so they could have a bullpen game, or they're going to start a guy from AAA in this game. So we really like the matchup for a lot of Orioles today. We actually have 2 Orioles in our Dinger Tuesday. Hopefully they help us go plus 17 units.
Let's skip over to the other Oriole here while we're at it. I don't think I've heard of this guy before.
Anthony Santander. I think he was good to us last year. He was at least good to me. I was pretty good when I was betting him. He's a really streaky player, but he hit a home run yesterday, and he's hitting the ball a lot better. I think he has multiple hits in more than half of his last 10 games. So he's really seeing the ball well. And this is another one where we're assuming Bowden Francis is starting for Toronto. It's lefty versus righty. We like those matchups a lot. We would set his line at around plus 350 to hit a home run. And so you're getting good value. Anything above plus 350. BetMGM's the best price here.
Okay. We got double Orioles. Yeah. Steven was talking about, we are up 17 units. That is correct. I'll say it louder for the people in the back. 17 units on Dinger Tuesday, please, on our home run prop. So we're kind of hot right now. I'll say it. I'll be the first to say it. Okay, let's go over to a good old classic here with Alvarez.
Yeah, Yordan Alvarez. Pretty much anything above plus 350, you got to take the value on. He's also another player who, like, you expect him to hit a home run every at bat just because how pure his swing is, but he struggled a bit. He's starting to get hotter. We have him at plus 320 to hit a home run. So anything above plus 320, you're getting good value. I like this.
Okay, let's move on. We got one more here for Dinger Tuesday. Going over to Matt Olson's on the Braves, right?
Braves, yes. Matt Olson on the Braves. We would set his line. This is the one that we don't have quite as much value as the other place, but at plus 380, a lefty power hitter, you got to take him here. And we have it at plus 339 for him to hit a home run. I think plus 380 is good value on Bet Rivers, considering his line's down to like plus 320 in some other books.
Okay, fair enough. 4 Dinger Tuesdays, 2 Orioles. We got Alvarez, we got Olson. Big Cheesy talking about Orioles team total looking good, and I have to say we'd agree given the offensive plays we've been putting out here for the Orioles. Okay, let's move on to 2 pitcher props, I believe it is, that you like as well. I'll bring in your screen. Building new tools every day. Me and the coding boys. All thanks to me. You know me. Taking all the responsibility over here. So basically what we do with the NBA, looking at certain players or certain positions that average a certain amount of points, rebounds, or assists, how they perform against certain teams. We've kind of taken that into the MLB. Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, talking about pitchers around the same averages against certain lineups.
We're taking a pitcher and we're taking his average. So say for Tyler Glass now, we have to split in player averages. So he averages 7.79 Ks. Was this even over like last couple of years? Or
I think it's the current season.
Just the current season. And then it's kind of like NBA, where you're seeing how a player who averages, let's say an NBA 22 to 25 points, how they do against a certain team. We're doing that with pitchers and how many guys they strike out. So Glass now strikes out 7.79. So you do the prop analysis tool. Put in his player ID. His line is 7.5 Ks. So let's say a player that averaged 7 to 9 strike, or 7 strikeouts to 8.5. And
That's his.
This is his.
Yeah.
And then this is the other. So this is how Tyler Glasnow has been performing, and he's really on a hot streak. I thought it was pretty crazy. I saw a tweet today. He's 46 innings shy of his career high. He's never made an All-Star game because he's not been durable. But as long as he gets his Ks and he's good to us, we like it. So he's hit the over in 6 of his last 7 starts. And then now you look on the other analysis, how players between 7 and 8.5 strikeouts have done against Pittsburgh. They haven't faced a ton of guys with a ton of strikeouts this year, but you can see Freddie Peralta twice in the last 2 years. But last year, they were very strikeout prone when facing really good pitchers. But then we could just go ahead and we could even lower that just to get a broader range. We could go to, let's do 6.5 strikeouts just to get a. We'll do 6.5 to 8.5. See if there's more players in there.
This is really live on the scene here.
Yeah,
Guys.
live on the scene. So the last 2 players within this range who have played against Pittsburgh hit the over. Skubal and Sale. And before that, Snell pitched against him, but he was coming off the IL, so I want to really read into that. So I'd say they're 3-1 in the last 4 games this season of pitchers in this range.
Okay. So for those reasons, we are taking him to go over 7.5 strikeouts.
I think we have him projected for 7.8 strikeouts, so there's value. I'd say it's pretty much fair value given his juice, but if you could get it close to even, there's value there.
Boom. Okay, let's go over to Corbin Burns here. Similar logic. We're going over 5.5 strikeouts. Corbin Burns remind me of Corbin Blue. Do you know who that character is, Jake?
Yeah, from
High School Musical.
Steven,
it's after your time.
Jump
In, another classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of strange. Right before the call on the show, I showed Mackenzie a Ethernet cable. She didn't know what it was. As I don't know, that's crazy. I'm still thrown by that. So
yeah, Steven's still recovering from the fact I didn't know what that cord was.
So the Corbin Burns did the same exact approach. He averages 6.13 strikeouts. We'll do its prop analysis. 2578. His line is 5.5. And let's do 5.8 to 7. This is just Corbin Burns. He's 7-5 on the over. He is 3-1 on the road.
I think he has a lower average.
Yeah, he has a lower average, but he's 3. That's interesting. So he's right at 5.5, but he must have had So must have had one game with 2 strikeouts or something like that. But he's 3-1 on the over on the road. He's 7-5 overall. And then this next form is against Toronto. Players against Toronto between 5.8 to 7 strikeouts, 20 and 27. So nothing great there, but the last 2 have gone over. Keller and Flaherty.
It's a little higher average on the road. Is that at Toronto? What is this game?
I think it's in Toronto. Pull up. See. It is in Toronto.
Yeah.
So I guess Toronto players do better on the road against Toronto. So
not a big fan base there.
I think
the Florida Panthers.
Decent. Yeah, they have a decent fan base there.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 pitcher props, 4 Dinger Tuesday plays. Now we're gonna take it down to the super regionals for college baseball tournament, not playoffs. That's not what they call it. Okay. All right, Steven, you're out of here again.
Yeah.
Let's move on. All right, let's start talking about it. So how it works is you have 8 super regional games and it's best of 3 series. And then from the super regionals this weekend, we'll get our Omaha 8.
Correct. Yeah. So it's 8. So before it was 16 brackets of 4, and that was double elimination. And now we're down to 16 teams, 8 super regionals. There I am. Okay. So now we have 8 super regionals left, and each super regional is head to head best of 3. And Steven was filibustering because I had a process of about 150 games worth of data from this past weekend, and I went ahead and put each matchup, all 3 potential games, and sorted by their number 1, 2, and 3 starters just to get the value. And FanDuel has odds. I haven't really seen anything on DK or other books, but just going through the matchups, let's go Tallahassee Super Regional, FSU, UConn. Right here, we have pretty much every game similar. We have FSU would say 64%, UConn 34%. The lines at FSU minus 320, UConn plus 235. Plus 235, I think there's a little value on UConn, and because the plus 235 is around 30% implied probability. So
So we're like in
so the values on UConn, I wouldn't say I'd say this is like more like a B value on UConn, all things considered, because we have it in the model, everything adding up to 100%, but we know that's not how books work. So I would say there's around 2-3% value on UConn if you want to play UConn here, and hopefully they beat FSU.
Yeah, screw FSU. Okay, so we're leaning UConn money line.
We're leaning UConn money line.
Bang. Okay, let's hit the next one. What do we got next?
Next is Knoxville Super Regional, Tennessee versus Evansville.
The hell is that?
Yeah, Evansville is the only 4 seed. I think they're one of 9 ever 4 seeds to make it to the Super Regionals. We don't have a ton of data on Evansville up until this season because they played in the Ohio Valley Conference. We have some data from the last year, but even with the limited data, we have Tennessee winning 72% of the time. Tennessee is the number 1 team in the country, but they're minus 800. You're not getting any value here.
What's the run line?
So it's just the series. They don't have the actual game prices yet. So it's Tennessee minus 800, Evansville 4.8 plus 480. So there would probably be a little value on Evansville, but I'm staying far away from that.
Okay, so this is kind of a stay off because nobody's taking a minus 800 bet, but you could parlay with some other things. All right, so we're leaning UConn money line if we had to pick. We would technically take Tennessee, but nobody's going to spend that money. What do we got next?
Next, we have the Chapel Hill Regional.
They just won last night.
They won last night in a crazy game against LSU.
Yeah.
So North Carolina, West Virginia. North Carolina's minus 250 favorites. West Virginia's at plus 190. If I go to my little Ace Odds Converter app, minus 250 is equal to 71% implied probability. So there's not value on North Carolina. The plus 190 on West Virginia is 34.5%. We have them at 37%. But once you take into the count the odds and everything, it's probably right around even value in West Virginia. So there's bad value on North Carolina and about even value on West Virginia.
Would you take West Virginia?
I mean, they came out of that regional unscathed. Derek Clark is Mr. Complete Game. He's gone 9 innings like 5 different times this season. So they have one of the best players in the country in JJ Weatherall. It's going to be a fun matchup between Weatherall and Vance Honeycutt. I would lean West Virginia just based on value.
I'm gonna say the people are here for your opinion, Jake. You gotta tell us what you want. Are we leaning West Virginia?
We're leaning West Virginia.
You had gun to your head to make a pick on this series. Who would you pick?
I think the value is on West Virginia.
You and your value. I want to hear what you're bringing.
We're a value-based podcast.
I don't know.
Not when it comes to college baseball, it's all out the window.
What I would do actually is you could do an exact result in a lot of these super regionals. If it's usually like even if you think it's going to go 3 games or not. And I would say I think this goes 3 games. So once we get series prices for exact results, I think this goes to 3. So that's what I'd say.
Okay.
West Virginia in 3 games.
Got it. All right. Let's keep chugging along here. What else do we got?
We'll go to the Charlottesville Super Regional, Virginia, Kansas State. And this is pretty much very similar to, it's the exact same price as North Carolina, West Virginia. But we actually have slight value on Virginia at minus 250 to beat Kansas State, even though Kansas State just upset Arkansas. They ran through that regional at Arkansas. But we really like UVA at home. I think they have really good home metrics. See, they're 16-6 on the money line at home from games that we have this season. And Kansas State is just Kansas State away from home, especially if it's a best of 3. You know that if it goes 3 games, Virginia gets another extra home game. So there's slight value on UVA minus 250.
And you said we'd set the line somewhere, what, like minus
We'd
3
set
something?
it probably like minus 280, I'd say.
Okay. All right. This is another one. Maybe you hit a little parlay situation with UVA in Tennessee, which is probably still like not awesome value, but better than both of them individually. Okay.
Then we're going to the Athens regional.
Oh yeah, go Dogs.
Yeah. And we actually do have some value on Georgia minus 130. See, I can't get over grown men barking.
Yeah, it's only for 23-year-old girls.
Yeah, only for 23-year-old girls. Just these 50-year-old guys barking. I don't know how I feel about that. But my minus 130, you're getting some good value on Georgia because they've been really good at home. I do think this is one of the best matchups. I think it's the closest odds of any series. So it's or besides Kentucky or Oregon State's the second closest odds. So this should be a really good series, a really fun series.
Okay. Go Dogs. What else we got? How many more we got here?
I think we have 3 more.
Okay.
Clemson Super Regional versus my Gators. I don't know how my Gators are still alive. We had to win 3 in a row, and we did that. And actually, at plus 162, there is some value on the Gators, but I've been really good fading the Gators and the Gators winning. So hedging happiness has been really good. So let's just go Clemson to hedge happiness. Clemson minus 210.
Okay, minus 210 is not crazy.
It's not crazy. Minus 210 is an implied 67%. We have Clemson at 59.6%, and that's in game 3. So if Caglione pitches that game, so let's say we have 60-40 is pretty much what we have it. So we do have some value on Florida at plus 162.
Okay. So you're hedging happiness. You wouldn't hate if people took the value of Florida.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next.
Texas A&M, Oregon. We actually have value on the Ducks at plus 265. And this, we have Texas A&M winning 58% of the time, Oregon at 41.6. That's also in game 3 there. This could be an interesting one where you're going to get some value if you expect this game to go 3. So I think you could play this series to go 3 games. And the value is on Oregon plus 265 because Texas A&M hasn't been great lately. They were really good in their regional, but they weren't good before that.
Okay. So we're like in Oregon right now if we were to pick, but we like this to go to 3 games.
Yes, Steven, I need a screen over here to protect my face, to protect my identity. As I look like a whistleblower, he said. And then the last regional is Kentucky, Oregon State. This is pretty much even value here. It's Kentucky minus 128, Oregon State minus 102. So pretty much bad value on both sides, considering how the books work. They screw you in value. But Kentucky's at home, so maybe you go with Kentucky, but I would stay off.
Okay. So staying off Kentucky. We don't love a pick here. Yeah, we're getting a little I'm blanking on the word. Getting a little heat for the minus 210 pick over here.
It's hedging happiness.
It's hedging happiness.
We actually have value on Florida if you like plus 162.
We don't hate the Florida play. Also, when we get series price, like certain game prices, we'll have better value picks. But we just gave you like 4 Dinger Tuesday plus 400. So I don't want to hear the nonsense.
Yeah. Okay? And we're plus 17 units on those last 2 weeks.
That too. All right.
So no hate allowed.
It's better than someone I saw. What was like? EK posted something with like somebody did a minus.
I don't like doing anything over minus 200.
Someone put like a $20,000 bet to win $10 on.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh, that was like last year. Wembanyama was like, someone bet like $50,000 to win $10 last year on Wembanyama to go number 1.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's an investment.
Sure.
I mean that's wrong, but minus 210. That
minus 210. I don't like anything probably more than minus.
You should never mock someone's bet as long as they're producing the juice. Now, if we were touting a record and we were like 8-2 on a bunch of minus 800s, and
that's why you like to look at you. That's why
I never understood that. That was like a weird behind the scenes. This is too into the weeds, but like the policy on our gambling programs, don't do any things that are more than minus 130. It's like, why not? Just say what the bet is.
Yeah.
And just be honest with the record and the units.
Yeah, if you go 10-1,
yeah.
10-1, it's a little misleading. But if you go +5 units, that's not misleading.
Yeah.
So it's all about the unit size.
I never understood that. Like this audience, you're not dumb out there. You understand the concept.
Smart
of
people
And also,
on
if you
this
feel
show.
comfortable enough, you could say, "I want to bet 2 units on Clemson at -210." And so it's all about unit size.
Okay. While you guys were bantering, I was just cooking up a recap slide because I'm an insane multitasker. Loading, please hold. Here she comes. Bang. Okay, super regional winners that we like, I believe. And we got our Dinger Tuesday bets, and we got our MLB props with our new little pitcher prop tool. Thank you, Steven, for the code. Okay. That's all we got today. We don't have a show tomorrow. Thursday, bring your NBA questions. We'll continue to go over that game. Maybe we'll have some more props. Maybe I'll have some more props too as well, so we can just break that down again. Of course, we'll have some MLB. Anything else I'm missing, guys?
No, I was thinking about trying to. What do you guys think of? So looking at my 3 worst pick types in NBA and fading the model picks.
Should we fade the model one?
Well, I don't want to. I don't know how to do it, but I was like, maybe like the ones I really stink at, which I've been obsessing over recently. I could pick out like what our model picks are and then fade them, and just I don't want them to count as official picks. Yeah, that's not good mojo. But I'll see if that adds a little excitement to this already thrilling show.
Yeah. Speaking of, tell your friends to tune in. We're happy to answer any questions across most sports that we have model data for. We'll do our best as always, and reach out to us on Twitter as well if you need. Again, no show tomorrow. I'm sure Jake will put out some plays that we like. Tomorrow we'll put out some Nerfy plays on Twitter on Sportsline.
Yeah, Nerfy Yerfies. We'll get some of those out there.
Okay, Nerfy Yerfy day on Wednesday. So look out for that. Good luck with your bets tonight, and we will see you guys Thursday.